And we're live, guys.
Good evening and welcome to the 33rd live Brew York monthly YouTube live. We look a bit different this month, you might have already noticed. I'm Rachel, I'm actually the head of marketing at Brew York. There's two reasons why it looks a bit different. Nobody on here is Lee or Wayne. I don't think, unless somebody's in disguise. But there's two reasons for this. One is it's a special show, especially to mark International Women's Day, which was on Wednesday, and we're dragging it out for the whole week because why the heck not? And the other reason being is that Lee and Wayne are over in the US at the moment. But as a special treat, they will be shortly joining us. So don't switch off your laptops just yet. So welcome to everyone listening on YouTube, and also welcome to everyone in the room. We've got a nice audience in the room with us at the tasting room here at Brew York Walmgate right now. Lovely to see everyone joining us tonight, and we've got some incredible beers coming up. So I'm looking forward to this. And I'll now introduce you to my lovely colleagues who are sat here with me. We're joined tonight by some of the women who work at Brew York. Do you want to introduce yourself, Jess?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jess. I am the York sales executive for Brew York. I basically, in short, sell beer to York bars and off licenses. Over to you, Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam. I am I can't remember my job title. Sales and logistics coordinator. I sell beer outside of the UK. So anybody outside of England, Scotland, Wales, that's mine.
Hi, I'm Nadia. I'm one of the brewers at Brew York. So I do everything from work production to cellaring to a little bit of packaging. So yeah, production side's all for me.
Excellent. You're in for a great night. There's lots of incredible knowledge on this panel tonight, and we're going to have some good conversations through the evening. I've got a really cheesy note here to say, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the Brew York YouTube channel. So tonight, let's get on to the beers. So the running order is, we've got Brave Noise, which is our 5.2% West Coast Pale. We've got Katy Berry, which has made a return at a 5.5% blueberry pastry sour. Then we've got a new beer, Juice Forsyth. No, I did not say juice. That's an 8% Imperial Juice Forsyth, and I haven't tried this yet, so I'm really excited about that. And then we've got Slice Slice Baby, which is a really exciting 7.5% collaboration. It's a three-way collab. So we've collaborated with Brewery Wildcard, and we've collaborated with the incredible Patisserie Valerie. And this is going to be a new one again for tonight. It's not yet released. Get the Slice Slice Baby out of the fridge. You don't want that too chilled. It's not until the end, but get it ready at room temperature now. So once again, 3 beers that we're having tonight have not yet been released, which is really exciting. Those of you that are subscribers, part of our membership club, we had the Big Smoke collab in the boxes this month, and Gold had a very special surprise with a cheeky little State of Mind beer in there, the barrel-aged Final Chapter. Now, this one was originally a beer that was made for our 5th birthday in 2021. It was a collaboration with Emperor's Brewery, and it's been aged now for 15 months in plantation rum barrels. Originally, so it's a 15% beer. It was always a big one, which Emperor's Brewery are known for. Loads of honeycomb. So that's just been sitting in rum barrels for 15 months. So lucky you if you had one of those in your box this month. Again, through the evening, if you've got questions, please do fire them. We've got bits of paper on the tables in the room, and obviously there's a chat on screen for those watching at home. We like it to get interactive, so please don't be shy, ask away. So tonight's specialist sort of topics that we're going to cover, we're going to talk a bit about the Brave Noise project. The beer has got a bit more to it than just being a beer, so we're going to tell you a bit more about that. Also, we're going to tell you about International Women's Day and what we've been doing through the week as Brew York with our team. There's an update from America. won't tell you any more on that just yet. The usual highlights from everybody and some info on what's coming up over the next month or so. And if you have any feedback or want to be in a future audience, you can keep your eye on socials, go on the website, or drop us an email at info@brewyork.co.uk. So moving swiftly on, it's time to open our first beer, if you haven't already. I'll just grab that one. Sorry. So this is a West Coast pale featuring Sabro and Mosaic hops. It's actually from a recipe that was pre-made, but we kind of put our own spin on it, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. Nadia, do you want to add anything about the recipe of this and what is sort of different a West Coast pale to a West Coast?
Well, I will just say I'm clearly excited about this one because I've poured the whole can out. I know, I absolutely love this beer. A West Coast pale is a spin on a West Coast that's a little bit more sessionable, maybe a little bit more approachable. It's that little bit lighter, that little bit less bitter, and so as the name suggests, it's really part way between a West Coast and between a pale ale. It's really beautifully bright. You can see this on camera, but anyone that's got one at home should see. And we've kept with the recipe designed for the Brave Noise beer. We've got Columbus, Sabro, and Mosaic, making a really beautiful hop combination. And this should have a good level of bitterness, but be an incredibly sessionable beer. Cheers.
It's very refreshing, I find, this beer. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about Brave Noise. It's not a name that we chose for the beer. This one's a bit different in that it's actually a global collaboration brew project. And for you may be aware of it already, but if you're not, it kind of fits really nicely with International Women's Day and all of the work going on around the world and across the brewing industry and the beer industry. It came from, in May 2021, Brienne Allen, who worked at the time at Notch Brewing in the US, asked a question on Instagram. She was having a certain situation herself, and she asked, have you ever experienced sexism in the beer industry? And what happened was insane. She was absolutely bombarded with other people sharing their own similar experiences of sexism in the beer industry. And it kind of really kicked off. It really sort of started a movement. And it was both shocking and quite incredible and almost cathartic to see people sharing these experiences that they clearly had, whether recently or, years ago, but they were coming forward, and she'd kind of triggered something really quite important. So what happened as a result of that is the Brave Noise project came about as a way for breweries to basically support these people that had spoken out. And it wasn't all women. It was mostly women, but lots of people were sharing different experiences of discrimination and toxic work cultures and all sorts of horrible things. And Brave Noise is about saying we hear you, we support you, and we advocate for a better beer industry where this does not happen. Now, it took off from America, so it was mainly a US-based project for quite some time. I'm really pleased to say that while more than 200 breweries in the US have brewed a Brave Noise beer, Brew York is currently only one of 19 in the UK. So I'm really, really proud to be able to say that. And the idea behind the Brave Noise project is you sign up, you're given the recipe, but you can put your own spin on it, and we have. You pledge support to a good cause that fits with the goals of Brave Noise. So we're going to be supporting the Egalitarian, who are running a Safe Place project, doing training for bars and pubs to help them spot and avoid just unacceptable behaviours, things like spiking, just horrible things that happen in these spaces. So we've pledged to support them, and they are Leeds based, and they've done some training across Head of Steam, who are one of our customers, and the Head of Steam venues are now a certified safe space. And it's a really important, interesting project that they're doing. Thank you. I don't know why I'm saying thank you. I literally didn't do any of that. I'm saying thank you on behalf of Brienne Allen. I know Nadia and Sam, you'd particularly sort of spoken to me before we embarked on this project and brewing our own Brew York Brave Noise.
Yeah.
Why was it important to you to kind of get on board with it?
So I came across the Brave Noise project and I sent it straight to you because it did grab my attention and I thought we could be a big part of this. It kind of fits in with Brew York's ethos. And as a woman, I think it's really important to kind of champion that, working with the egalitarian, creating safe spaces, not just as a woman, but as a gay woman. It's difficult. And knowing that we are part of that, it's really nice. Yeah. And it is important to educate people. And, you don't have to be a woman to be a feminist.
Cheers to that.
But everyone can get on board with it, and I feel really proud that we have been a part of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's an amazing project, and anything that you can do as part of the industry to promote and instigate these conversations is intensely positive, because nothing is changed and nothing is addressed if people stay silent. And it's difficult but intensely important to create a space where people are able to speak. And so many women and so many minorities within the industry have these experiences that are huge barriers to their own careers, their own development, or also just their own experiences with the drinks industry. Bars, as wonderful as they can be and as beautiful social spaces as they can be, actually can also be dangerous places for people unless we deal with these issues and speak about them and create an environment where somebody can stand up and say, this happened to me, this negative experience happened to me, and other people will listen to them and show everybody else that they're listening to them. Because it's not only victims who need to speak out, it is people who believe them, people who are willing to stand up with them and say, this behavior is wrong. So being part of Brave Noise to me was a really big deal to encourage the conversation and to push this stuff out there to as many people as we can get to listen.
And I think it's also very easy to brew a beer and stick a label on it and put it out, put a post on your socials. There you go, job done. But you need to have those conversations, and it needs to go to a higher level than that. You need more action, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and part of the project also was you had to share your code of conduct, which if you look on the cans, there is a QR code on there, and if you scan that, you can be taken straight to our code of conduct on our website. And you also have to make a commitment to kind of change, which is sort of a more of a forward-looking plan, which, the code of conduct sort of sets the foundations for. And I think that it's been really important for us as a company to do the Brave Noise beer, because actually it started conversations internally. And the week that we've had for International Women's Week, which we'll talk about a bit later, but it's been amazing for the team coming together and sort of sharing some of those experiences and that sort of moment of saying, solidarity with each other. And we now have that momentum, I think, to really take some more things forward. But it's a really good project, I think. And hopefully even more UK breweries will get on board. And it's a positive thing. And it is a tasty beer, which is always a bonus.
Really nice beer.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We'll enjoy drinking that for a while. I want to talk now about what we have been doing this last week for International Women's Day. To give you a little bit of background, before I joined Brew York last year, I'd set up a little social enterprise back in 2017 called Women on Tap. It's a community interest company, but basically it started off as my sort of mission to find more women who love beer. Like, I was aware, I've always drunk beer, and I was very aware all of a sudden with the craft beer kind of evolution that I wanted to find more people like me. And I've done lots of different events and projects and festivals since, but it's still a sideline project. But now I'm working at Brew York. There's lots of overlaps, hence like the Brave Noise. And certainly this week with the International Women's Day activity, it's shown just how much it does overlap, and there is an opportunity to do more work. So it's been amazing working with the team this last week with two hats on. It's really sort of come together, and we really wanted to mark International Women's Day this year. So we've had a programme of activity, and I'm going to invite the panel to tell you more about what we've done, because all of you have been quite deeply involved in all of it, which has been amazing. So I just wanted to kind of let you sort of tell. So we did, first of all, we did a new article on the website, and Sam, you got readily involved in that.
Yeah, I think any platform that we're given to kind of give our voice is important to grab. I've been with Brew York for over 4 years. I know it very, very well. And yeah, I love to kind of be vocal about it and get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think everyone else really agrees. Yeah.
Definitely. I think it was a wonderful thing that you can do, particularly for International Women's Day, to showcase women and non-binary people within your company, because we talk so much about the barriers that women have to working in beer or being involved in the beer industry, because it is perceived as such a male environment. And I disagree. It is not a male environment. There are so many women who love beer, who work in beer, and things like this are what kind of push people to the forefront to show, people who may be interested. Yes, there are other people like me.
Yeah.
And that solidarity and kind of seeing that representation is something that will encourage more people to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because we all know that if there's an industry that doesn't feature anybody who looks or sounds or seems like you feel alienated from it, and you might be hesitant about being a part of it. So if you can see, a wide range of representation, I think it brings far more people to be comfortable in that space, and I think that's really positive.
No, definitely.
And I think the article was literally just about showing some of the team that, otherwise you don't see. They're behind the scenes, they're, brewing or, in the office. And it's been really nice to be able
across almost every department.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like we're everywhere.
And you don't realise, for Women on Tap, so many times we've kind of gone, we should have a list of like breweries where women are brewing. And like that information's nowhere. You've got to kind of go and really dig it out, because people just don't talk about it enough. And I think they should showcase the diversity in their teams. And I think that more people would follow if that was more visible.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jess, tell us about the beer social that we had on Tuesday evening.
Oh, the beer social that we actually had here in the tasting room was so much fun. What we did was we invited a lot of local women, or even women who were our subscribers, here to the tasting room, just to have a bit of a conversation and to obviously drink beer. And it provided a new and hopefully a reoccurring space for women or even individuals who identify as non-binary, a space where everyone could talk about beer essentially, and it was a great hit. We had a lot of response that I don't feel like we felt like we would have got originally, so it was quite wholesome, I want to say.
I think it's going to be a reoccurring thing as well.
Definitely.
We've all discussed this, I think, like at the event, and since we're all really excited about meeting up again and creating more of these events, so that was definitely a great spark.
Definitely the start of something that is going to be absolutely amazing, to just keep going at it again and working on it and improving on it to make it something as grand as we can.
And then on Wednesday, Nadia, we had a bit of a brewing day.
We did a brew day. So we invited women and non-binary people from kind of all sexes of the beer industry, beer drinkers, beer sellers, beer makers, and
Beer lovers.
Beer lovers.
Yeah.
So we had a fantastic group of women together. We made a beer, a very exciting beer that I'm sure you'll get to hear about in the future.
Emma's in the room. She was there on, on Wednesday. That was the whoop. That,
It was such a lovely day. Like, we all had so much fun meeting each other. It was a great social event, and we're going to have something really cool to show for it when this beer is done,
I'm really excited.
which is
I can't
fantastic
wait.
because it means it keeps going. And then at the same time, we we ran a brewery tour. We had some sensory training, kind of looking at malts and hops and things, and trying to get people involved in different aspects of not just the brew day, but actually what's gone into the recipe design. And then always ending on a social, because you gotta end
Few
with
beers.
just drinking beer. And I think we had an absolutely lovely day. Met some amazing people. I was very grateful for everybody that turned up, and for all the help digging out, particularly. That was great. Free labour.
Well, thank you for your knowledge anyway, just how
Yeah, it was
your
brilliant.
day in the life of Brew York works as well. That was something I never got to experience.
It was really, really fun to share. So I appreciate everybody who came.
And we brewed a dipper, so it's going to be fabulous, and that's coming out in the next few weeks. So watch out for that. I'm not going to say any more at this point.
That's
It's
it.
a little surprise. And then obviously we've kind of finished the week of activity with this evening. We are very happy to be taking over the YouTube this evening, and I hope you're enjoying your beer. Let us know what you think. If you've got any questions, write them on your slips of paper or put them in the chat. And we've got a little treat for you now, because I think if technology behaves itself, fingers crossed, everything crossed, and like we look like we're just effortlessly sitting here chatting, but behind the scenes we've got Pete and Ant just crossing all their fingers and hoping that this works. So Liam Wayne are going to join us from America.
Hi everyone. So you can't really tell we're in America because it looks like we're sat in a living room with a wallpapered wall behind us. But we are Hidden Springs tap room. So I'll give you a quick view of the room. We just had to try and find a quiet corner because although it's only just gone 2 p.m. here, the tap room's getting really, really busy because we've got our British beer tasting tonight. So if there's a lot of background noise, that's kind of the reason why. So I'll try and bring the microphone, which is our laptop, a bit closer, so hopefully you can hear us okay. But yeah, huge thank you to the team this week for taking care of everything while we've been away. So it sounds like there's been a really epic week of events and a lot of activity going on. And again, huge thank you for everyone tonight looking after the YouTube session in our absence. So, yeah, I'll pass over to Lee to talk about the beer.
Well, yeah, amen to that. So, yeah, awesome job so far, ladies. Really enjoying the show. So, yeah, the beer. So, unfortunately, we forgot to pack the beers to bring with us. So, we're not able to drink along with you, which I'm actually quite thankful for because we were supposed to have a quiet day yesterday. Didn't end up that quiet. I've got major acid reflux going on at the minute. I feel terrible. But anyway, so I'm on the water. I hope you enjoy the beers.
I've got
It's already out there.
I've got a Riot Juice, which is one of Hidden Springs sour beers. It's really good. It's blackberry sour. So, but we'll talk about
Blackberry and lime.
Yeah, we'll talk about a different beer. We'll talk about Katy Berry because you guys should all have Katy Berry.
So yes, you should have Katy Berry, the new recipe Katy Berry. We've upped the ABV to 5.5. It was, of course, previously 4.5%. Excuse me. And it's the original Brew York pastry sour, which we did, I think, probably as much as 4 years ago, would it be?
Yeah, it's quite a while back now.
Yeah. So it's had a 2-year hiatus. We did plan on doing it last year, but then I think other things got in the way and some other recipes we wanted to do instead. So yeah, it's not been around for 2 years. We've now brought it back at that elevated ABV. So in terms of pastry, what makes a pastry stout? What makes a pastry sour? It's using lots of ingredients that kind of give a biscuity cake-like flavour to the beer. So we use lots of oats, lots of wheat. You tend to have lactose in there, which is a milk-derived sugar, which is non-fermentable, so it makes the final beer a little bit sweeter. Lactose can also contribute body, so it makes the beer feel thicker, and it also gives it a certain amount of creaminess. And then usually there would be some form of fruit in, and in this one we've used a stupid amount of concentrated blueberries. So blueberries we really like in a style like this, because if you think of the blueberries you might have for your breakfast, it's not the most potent flavor, but when you put it into something like this, it seems to be like more expressive at the lower pHs. So yeah, really good, in the same way that guava would be, for example, which is another favorite fruit I like to use in sours.
I'm quite enjoying watching from a distance the challenges you guys are all going to have. What we experience every live session where we're drinking 4 beers in 2 hours and trying to get through them all in time for the next sample to start. And I can see you're all pretty much triple park from the first beers.
So we are currently in Tampa. It's a nice balmy 28 degrees here at the minute. And we've found out that they're one of the world's biggest producers of guava as well, since they were mentioning guava.
Yeah, we found a few nice beers with guava in it. It's been a busy couple of days so far. So we haven't really done much yet today because it all starts shortly when we're going to be doing
don't give away what we have been doing, because we're doing a section on that later.
Okay, don't say too much. Yes. But yeah, we're inside an air-conditioned room because it's kind of the polar opposite weather to what you guys have got at the moment. So 28 degrees outside, but it's actually quite bearable, which is nice. Hence the fact that I'm not bright red and sunburned. It's tolerable.
Although apparently we're here at just the right time, because if we were here in maybe a couple of weeks' time, it goes up to 40 degrees here. And that I definitely could not tolerate with my pasty skin. Okay. Hidden Springs, where we are, they're one of the US's best pastry sour producers. So that's what first kind of caught our attention. We met them at a beer festival in Finland. Really loved what they were doing. They did stupid sours, stupid stouts. So yeah, they felt like kindred spirits. So it's great to get across here and be able to brew with them in a day or two.
Yeah, I keep about to give spoilers away about what we did a couple of days ago, but we'll tell you more about that later with some of the treats we've had so far.
So in terms of like a kettle sour, as this type of sour is known, how is that done? So what you would do is you would create wort, which is the sugary liquid that you derive usually from barley, can use other cereal things such as oats and wheat. So you create that sugary wort, you transfer it into your kettle, you boil it once to eradicate any bacterial content that may already be in there. You then cool it down to a body-like temperature, about 37 degrees. At that temperature, you then inoculate it with something called lactobacillus. And then lactobacillus is what you have in your gut. It's what makes a yogurt. And what it does is it digests a small amount of the sugar and it creates lactic acid, amongst other things. So it creates a nice, clean, crisp sharpness and it drops the pH. Once it's done its work, which is usually within 24 hours, you boil it again to kill that off. You don't want that to carry on into the process because it'll keep going and going and going. So you boil it off, and then at that point you treat it like you would any other beer. So you can hop it, you can ferment it and add fruit, you can do whatever you choose to. So what we've done with this one is we then fermented it out, and then towards the end of fermentation, we add in the blueberries. We then ferment that out. We would then transfer the beer across to its packaging tank, and then we would add the vanilla, which is very common on the back end of this beer. Yeah. So I think compared to some of the more recent pastry sours that we have done, I think our approach has evolved over the time. This is quite tame, and it's certainly quite tame compared to the kind of ones you would see over here where they put things like graham crackers and marshmallows and gummies, as they call them over here. We call them sweets. But yeah, gummies are ending up in sours over here. So yeah. So hopefully you're enjoying the beer and you like the elevated ABV. I'm sure you'll let us know if not.
Can someone hold their glass up to camera so I can see the colour this year?
Yeah, it's very nice.
we're not too dissimilar. Maybe.
That's not blueberries, but thank you, Ant, I presume that was.
There's not a pint of cask beer. I really want a pint of cask beer right now.
Okay. So always at this. That's more like it, Ant.
Yeah.
Is it Ant? It must be.
Yeah.
Hands.
So always at this point, we talk about highlights of the last month. So I will kick it off. So personally, I had a week off, and I managed to cram in lots of different things. We went to Whitby for a bit, went to Yorkshire Sculpture Park, which is the first time I've ever done that. I can highly recommend that for anyone that hasn't done that. It's a huge park where you walk around and see things like Damien Hirst creations and Henry Moore statues, all of that kind of thing. So yeah, that was fab. And I would say my work highlight was when I went to see Jordan and the team down in Brighton and brewed a honeyberry and blueberry pastry sour with them.
So my month was a bit crazy, to be honest, because I knew we were coming out here. I really didn't get a chance to do much, full stop. But did manage to get a bit of time with the family. So went for a Sunday lunch together just before I flew out. So that was nice. But work-wise, again, a bit of a crazy month. But we did a few events down at the Cornwall Taverns near Stoke, which were good. So we did a few Meet the Brewers down there. That was a lot of fun. And that's, yeah, in a nutshell, my highlights.
And if we go back over to our host, Rachel, what's been your highlights?
Well, yeah, I feel honoured to be included on the highlight list this month. I had a birthday and I went to Edinburgh for a weekend, which I love. Why is everyone clapping that?
Edinburgh's great, yeah.
And my work highlight has got to be the Brave Noise project because I've loved working with the team more closely on that, and it's been really, really satisfying. So, thanks, Anne.
So I know we've got some questions appearing on screen with the new StreamYard thing we're trying out this month. But have we got any for us to answer yet, Peter?
Yeah. What does magic happens?
We had one over here on paper, so I thought Sorry, I don't know when to jump in and address. Yeah,
So Rachel, I need to read that out. So.
As you're all new, you get the newbie queue. What the heck?
What's your favourite Brew York beer?
Sorry?
What's your favourite Brew York beer?
Yeah.
John Scotty.
Yeah.
We get the newbie questions because we're new to the channel. Favorite Brew York beers.
I'm going to go Empress Tom Coco.
Oh. I think I'm going to go with Classic Core Range or Time Travelling Taxi. It's probably, solid fave. Got a whoop.
And no one can guess mine. John Biscotti. It's been a couple of years since we've done it, but
Born Under Peaches, peach iced tea sour, hands down favorite Brew York beer so far. Anything involving like beer and tea, like two favorite drinks, like bringing them both together and making it that good. Yeah, that's
we need to do more of that.
I know.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah, here's another.
We've got paper questions. Pete.
Yeah, we do. I'm going to address the paper questions here.
Do this one.
Okay,
Question.
somebody asked, what is Brew York's spin on Brave Noise? And so the original Brave Noise recipe was for a pale ale. So we turned it into a West Coast pale ale. So rather than going kind of full West Coast, we went a little bit in between, and we've just made it, like bright, that little bit extra bitter, but we kept the flavor profile, relatively the same. So we turned from a pale ale into a West Coast.
They have Sabro in it originally.
Yes.
Did it?
Yes. No,
Yeah.
the hop profile was still the same.
Was it?
Yeah.
But we changed the grist recipe. So yeah, that was our little I'll spin the difference.
Yeah. So here's another question up on screen for you guys. Rachel,
Am I
answer-
reading?
you answer it
Okay.
out, yeah.
Why so few breweries brewing Brave Noise? It's been around for a while, so surprising more haven't jumped on board a worthy cause. I think it's because originally the deadline was a long time ago and then they extended it. And I know when we originally talked about it, we weren't sure that we were going to be able to fit it into, because it was like December 2022. And I think we talked about it in November, and we desperately were looking at how we could possibly fit it in to that year's brewing schedule. But then people just started kind of picking it back up. So we thought, well, if we can extend this, we'll get on board. So hopefully, as more and more UK breweries do it, other breweries will see that happening and also get on board. I know a few of Elusive did theirs very recently, very near to us. So maybe more to come.
Maybe
Hopefully.
because it's been more of a US thing, it's taken a little bit more time to filter through the UK, and just kind of be more of a part of a UK brewery profile. So hopefully it will continue to pick up.
I feel confident that give it time, and I think we'll see more and more breweries acting on this project.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I've been unmuted. I would add to that as well that I think women. Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
You can hear, good. I would also say that women and non-binary people are underrepresented in the industry. So I think you referred earlier to there's no point in doing the project unless you're willing to have that internal kind of conversation. So if you don't already employ women within your team or non-binary individuals within your team to do this project would seem perhaps hypocritical. So I guess it's not been possible for everybody to do this.
I think there is an element of that. I think it's always scary putting your head above the parapet, and I think a lot of people sort of shy away from it for that reason exactly, which is why it's really nice to be able to do it. And and by doing it, you're not saying as a company we're perfect. Why aren't you all like us? What you're saying is we want to join and advocate for a better industry. And we kind of pledge to do better and do more, and in the hope that then leads by example and brings more companies along. So again, it's just a really great thing that Brew York and the team have got on board with.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, what I would like to know is how come me and Wayne never get this applause?
You've been replaced, guys.
sorry.
I think it might be. I think somebody commented earlier on saying that the panel's a lot more attractive. This content, but maybe that's. Yeah, we're not insulted at all, honestly.
Well, who knows? Maybe we're just better at talking about beer. Let's not bring it all on looks, guys.
Second live stream in a week and you're taking over.
Yeah, well done on yesterday, Nadia. Where we were sat in a beautiful beer garden at the bar watching your live debut.
Thank you. The support is very much appreciated.
Okay, so do we have any more questions, or are we jumping on to the next beer?
Well,
We've got a few more, mate.
I've got a couple here, but they are for Nadia.
the star of the show.
One of them is, what style would Nadia like to brew that she hasn't done already?
Ooh, okay.
I know the answer.
Do you? Because I've got like 3, so I'm wondering which one's yours. I'm really want to brew a red style sour. That's
Flanders red.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, okay, you know me too well. I really want to brew a Flanders red. That's really up there with my favorite styles ever.
Can we call it Oakley Dokley?
I absolutely love that. Yeah,
Next idea
let's
there.
go out together. So yes, no, definitely Flanders Red. That's right up there.
I didn't quite get. What kind of sour was that you wanted to do, Nadia?
A Flanders Red.
Oh, Flanders Red. Flanders Red. Okay, yeah. I only heard the red bit. Right. Okay.
Flanders Red. I
Flanders
know you're on board with me with this. And you're gonna have to be now.
Another one for Nadia.
So we are doing a red sour later in the year, aren't we?
Oh, we are.
Do you remember?
Stay quiet on this.
I think we're doing it for Halloween.
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to be called Reddy Krueger, isn't it?
Oh,
Giving the game away.
Mute them, Pete.
I might be in the US, but I can still drop some stuff I'm not supposed to.
Turn
Turn the stream off.
Just a couple of other ones for Nadia then. What is Nadia's favourite style to brew? And is that different to your favourite style to drink?
Okay. I have two favorite styles to drink, and one of them is my favorite style to brew. So my two favorite drinking styles are West Coast and sours. Always. Like it's that's always just going to depend on my mood. Kind of fancy, and sometimes the weather. But sours are probably my favorite style to brew because there's just that little bit more to it. Brew days, anything that kind of makes it a little bit different, creates something slightly more interesting to your usual day-to-day is fantastic. And especially when you can do something that we've done a couple of times before where we've had a kind of a non-kettle sour. We've had a combination like a Quebec yeast and a sour pitch in the FE, that kind of thing. That's always super fun. I like doing things that are different though. This is something that translates between brewing and drinking. I always want something new. If you can drink something that you've never tried anything like that before, it's as exciting as if you brew something that you've never brewed anything like that before. New information is always my favorite thing.
That translates right through to selling the beer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, people always want new stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally makes sense. And being able to kind of pass on the information and talk about something different, I think it just, that's always really exciting.
How's everyone enjoying the Katy Berry?
Do you all feel like a plastic bag? I had to, I'm sorry.
Love a pun.
I had to.
Some more questions.
Have we got some
Yeah.
more?
Oh, we've got loads.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Go.
Here we go. So it's all on the screen now.
Question for the table. What breweries are your favourites and which ones should we be looking out for?
Okay, hands down, one of my favorite breweries that we worked with a little while ago was Pastor. I have to say, we
Pastore.
sorry, excuse me, Pastor. We have occasionally been running something in the brewery that we've been calling Booze Club, where we pick a brewery out of a hat and we get a bunch of beers in and we all drink them together and try them and like discuss it and see, what we liked about it, what we didn't. We'll get like a number of different types of beers from that brewery. And it's really fun and a good kind of get together, but it also helps you to learn about different styles, get some different ideas. And I think it's a really good thing for the creative process. And the best one that we ever did was Pastore.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. All of those beers were fantastic. And then we got to collaborate with them like pretty soon afterwards. So that was just a lovely experience all around. I really enjoyed that. Anybody else?
I'd probably say one of my favourite breweries would be Northern Monk, which we also have collaborated with. I found out about the collaboration when I joined Brew York. which was in summer 2022. And it was when we brought out Scone Alone, or I know that had a debate of how you say scone or scone.
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 I am
No. If you say
Scone.
scone, then the name doesn't work.
I know it doesn't work, but in my
Alon.
heart, I'm a Scone Alone.
Unpopular
I know.
name to go out on. The name's wrong. It's gone along.
Yeah. You were Scone all along.
Should I just leave?
Yeah.
Scone.
But yeah, that was another sour as well, so that was perfect for the time of year. And it was, it just reminds me of first joining Brew York as well. And yeah, always been a fan of Northern Mungo and Brew York, so it just kind of was a bit of a nice way to intertwine like both breweries that I do enjoy.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got a favourite?
Go on.
I'm really enjoying Overtone at the moment. Overtone just smash out beer after beer after beer, and they're all wicked. Yeah, my local often has them on, and yeah, I love them.
Great brewery. Yeah.
I'm going to say 2x2 because I'm a big fan of classic cask beer, and I want something that I can almost chew. And 2x2 are like great cask soup makers, and I've had some really beautiful cask ale from them.
They're based
northeast Newcastle, I think. Yeah. Every time I see them on the bar, I'll go for it, and it's never ever disappointing. Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So what? Should we give a question for Wayne Lane?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah.
Why not?
There we go. So there you go, guys.
So for Liam Wayne, any interesting new beer discoveries out in the States so far?
No pause.
It's interesting that there's obviously loads and loads of hazy East Coast beers, which doesn't really do it for me and Lee. So we've been digging further than that. You know the name of the brewery, but I don't, and I went to see them because with W.
Woven.
There's a brewery called Woven that really, really good. Do some similar styles to Vault City, some really heavily fruited sours, and really, really impressive. You never know, if you're lucky, we might bring some back. And then we went to a really cool place a couple of days ago called Barry House.
Barry House, yeah.
Went to Barry's house and had a few beers there. That was basically lager brewery, which is unusual for us to be going all the way to America and drinking lager, but it was really, really cool place.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, they had maybe 20 different types of traditional German lager on. Yeah, it's huge range. We had what's called a milk pour, where you get a small, thin glass. They sometimes call them milk tubes, and they use a side pour tap to just decant out the foam, and then you chink your glasses and you down it as a shot. So it was kind of creamy, quite gaseous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it's a nice novelty thing. And we are returning there on Sunday because they're doing what they call hot rod beers. So if you imagine like an ironmonger's hot rod that they superheat, and then they dip it into something like a Vienna lager or a Baltic porter, and it gets instant caramelization around the source of heat and transforms the flavour of the beer. So yeah, looking forward to doing that. We've encountered our first ever pastry lager while we've been out here. So yeah, Hidden Springs do a lemon pastry lager, so maybe that's something we'll be bringing back to the UK. It doesn't contain lactose though, so you don't need to worry about that one. We are not heathens. We're not about to start putting lactose into lagers.
We also found a really cool West Coast yesterday. That's I won't tell you too much about it because we'll hopefully brew something very similar when we come back. But it's a West Coast beer, but with an interesting twist. So watch this space. Lee will probably tell you in about 10 minutes, but yeah, watch this space.
Surely we don't have to wait that long.
Oh, by the way, Nadia, the date for your diary, 7th of June. You're going to Pastore to brew.
What?
Oh, more clapping. All right.
Thanks for that. That's really fun.
Hopefully you haven't got a holiday booked.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions, or are we going on to the next beer? and has been very efficient dishing out the juice. And this is another one that Lee and Wayne, I think, are going to talk us through.
I haven't even got a beer to drink alongside it. But the next beer for you guys at home is Deuce Forsyth. So as you probably already know, or if you don't know, Deuce Forsyth is now our biggest selling beer by a long way. So a beer that we brought back just at the start of lockdown. It was originally a very different style beer, but we brought it back to actually fulfill a supermarket contract. So we brought it back to work with Morrison's on providing them a tropical fruit IPA. So it was at the time it was a reduced strength version of X-Parrot, which we already had in the range. So we found a way to reduce the fruit content a little bit, but still have that same impact. So we tried to make the beer more accessible. So we brought it down to 5%. And it's become such a popular beer. It's something that we all drink a lot of ourselves. And it's something that thankfully you guys all drink a lot of because we sell so much of it. But one of the things that we haven't done much of is do any sort of twists on this beer. So at the start of the year, we've looked at the plan for the brewing schedule, and Deuce Forsyth is going to make a few different appearances, or some family relatives of Deuce Forsyth are going to come and make an appearance. So the first up is Deuce Forsyth. So we want
second. We already did vegan.
Oh, sorry, yeah, vegan Deuce Forsyth was technically the first. Deuce Forsyth the second. So it's an imperial version of Deuce Forsyth. So typically we try to, when we go for imperial strength, we'll be going for 8% and above. So 7.5% is where the tax duty line starts in the UK. So 7.5% usually influences us. So we can still technically call something imperial, but it's a little bit lower strength, just to try and get the price right for you guys. So apologies if the mic's not great. I know there's a lot of background noise going on here at the moment. But yeah, Deuce Forsyth was that. We amped up the fruit to make it even bolder than it was before. We've still got loads and loads of oat and wheats in there. It's quite a hazy beer, regardless of the fruit. And then loads and loads of pineapple, mango, and passion fruit goes into it. And this one's a bit more orange in colour because there's a higher mango ratio in this beer than the typical Deuce Forsyth.
Could we get a glass held up to camera again so we can see how orange this beer is?
He's on his way.
Very orange.
That was very well poured as well.
Yeah, great pouring skill.
Milk pour or nothing.
So one of the things, one about these beers is we didn't want it to taste exactly like Deuce Forsyth. It is a stronger beer. We wanted you to taste a little bit more on the strength, but the fruit does massively hide it, so it can be quite dangerous. 8% beer that tastes so easy drinking. So be careful how much you drink of it. Thankfully, we haven't got them here because otherwise it's only 2:30 now in the afternoon. Well, almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon for us. So it could be a long day if we were drinking that.
Dentist time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's Deuce Forsyth.
Why don't we go back to the panel and why don't you tell us what you think about it?
I'm absolutely terrified of this beer because it's so not boozy. It's almost less boozy than Deuce Forsyth. It's really scary, but it's really tasty, delicious.
I mean, it's just like an alcoholic smoothie, I think, which is great.
Yeah. No, this is definitely smoothie territory. This is super thick. It really is just like drinking a juice. I think the mango comes through super heavily. And you have to remind yourself that what you're drinking is not fruit juice.
Yeah, you could have this with breakfast.
Absolutely.
She didn't say that.
We've already discussed questionable breakfast choices before the show, so I think this could potentially be a breakfast beer.
Breakfast smoothie.
Sam, you need to issue a retraction. We've been done by the Advertising Standards Agency for that
Not one of your 5 a day.
We'll go Fox News style. This is an opinion, not stating facts.
So I need to do an apology statement.
So the branding on this one is been quite heavily influenced by Ant off and on camera. We had a concept come back from United by Design and it wasn't quite there for us. We didn't quite like it, and Ant had the idea of doing the deuce, as in the a pair of cards, and doing the twist on Juice Forsyth that way. It came out really good. It looks really cool. You can tell it's related to Juice Forsyth, but you can still see the difference. You know, it's a slightly different beer. So one of the things, there's a brewery in the UK at the moment that's brought out a very hoppy double IPA followed by a very hoppy triple IPA. And you can't tell the difference between them.
Who's that?
The only difference is the ABV. It's so confusing. The same name beer as well. So I think it's quite important that you have a way of distinguishing a beer when it's on the shelf, especially when it could be dangerous if you end up drinking too many of these by accident.
Yeah.
This one you have to be careful to say in the right way.
Yeah.
Because it just sounds so juice. Not juice, juice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The can art is fantastic. I'm really happy with that. So.
We've really not thought about the people who have to serve this across the bar, have we?
It was when we brought breakfast out last year. It was a nightmare. Every festival, people were like, "Can I have a juice?" You're like, "Which one?" Forsyth for breakfast.
There's a lot of love for this on the chat, and I've just seen Kerry saying that she wants to drink it all day, which does worry me because I'm not sure that's possible.
We'll have to see how Pete can up his fancy dress.
Drink slowly and it's fine.
Got some more questions?
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
more questions.
This one for Wayne and Lake.
I think we just had this one.
We've had that one.
But there was one we forgot to mention. So Lee's quote to me yesterday was, "I ain't touching a hard seltzer while I'm out here." And then followed by him having a hard seltzer that was a Powerade flavored hard seltzer, which was really good.
Yeah, it was blue, so it lured me in.
You're disgusting.
Blue.
No.
It tasted exactly like Powerade. Is that Powerade? Gatorade? One of those things? Yeah.
And yeah, the answer to Bob K, yes, we are. We've got an Angry Chair at some point. It's about a 10-minute walk from our Airbnb. So about a 30-minute stumble back, but a 10-minute walk there. So we'll probably head there tomorrow. We need to give Lee some recovery time.
This one on the table.
I think we've had that one as well.
Yeah,
We've had that one, yeah.
Yeah.
My bad, guys. Oh, here we go. Here's one.
Just sound Nadia, what is your favourite style of beer?
Ooh.
I'm going to give it this. I've definitely covered this. No, I'm a sours and West Coast. So, Sam, go.
Yeah, I like sours and impy stouts. But if we're going to go favourite, I'm probably going to say like a lambic sour. Yeah.
Love a lambic.
I always return to like a hazy, just anything hazy. That's always, I don't know. It's just something. It's like going back home after you've not been there for months. It's
Oh, that's
Nice.
a lovely
Yeah.
way of describing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
somewhere familiar.
It's something you can have a bit more than one of as well. Like a
Exactly.
lambic is a beautiful experience, but you're a little bit limited in how much you're going to have of it, realistically.
Yeah.
Whereas the hazy, you can keep going back and you.
It's the same with some sours and some stouts as well. It's
Mhm.
like it's great to have one, but at least with a hazy pale,
Yeah.
I can have a few more.
Just take a Rennie and power through.
Exactly.
Lee needs that
Need some
advice
choice.
right
Yeah.
now.
They started today. We've got the guys from Heist Brewery in Sheffield are here with us as well. So they're sat in the tap room around the corner, and I forgot my Rennies, and they had 2 Rennies, and I was like, brilliant. I had a couple of them and had a sour beer, and Lee sat there dying next to me with indigestion because his kicked in a bit later than mine.
Yeah, well, every day we've been here, I've had Rennies in my pocket and I've not needed them. And then today I forgot to put them in my pocket, and today's the day I need them.
Oh dear. It's those milk pours, they're not good for you.
Powerade flavoured hard seltzers, they mess with you.
See, there was a reason I shouldn't have done hard salt.
So the other thing we
Thickness of
do
anything
in this
blue.
section is give you a bit of an update on what we've been up to since we've been in America so far. So we can release some of the spoilers now and let you know a little bit about what's been going on.
Well, I mean, it can be summarised in a short sentence. We have visited a lot of breweries.
Yeah, so we've been to first day here. We arrived relatively late. So didn't really do much, but I popped out and visited a couple of. There's a tap room very close to our Airbnb, so I popped in there. That's the one I mentioned earlier. So really, really impressive sours they're doing, and some really good imperial stouts. But then a bit of a more planned day on Wednesday where we came down, said hello to the guys at Hidden Spring, and had a look around here, and then we went to there's a historic town nearby called Ebor. It's quite a nice tie-in with York. It's random because there's chickens walking around on the street. They're a protected animal. So apparently they can just do what they want, and they thrived during COVID when there was no humans on the street. So there's literally chickens everywhere. Very, very unusual.
Honestly, they are literally everywhere. The cockerels and chickens and little baby ones just walking all over. And like Wayne says, they're protected, so no one's allowed to touch them. It's quite bizarre.
In this one little district, there's about 5 or 6 breweries. So we popped in and visited a couple of them while we were there, including not Angry Chair, they're called Cigar City. Cigar City have a meadery, so they make honey mead and also cider. So we popped in and had a look at that to have a bit of a break from the beer.
I'm trying to find a picture of the chickens.
And then,
It's country cider.
it's not the type of cider that Ant likes.
Ah,
Oh, can we see that?
Why did they think across the room?
You're showing us chickens.
Just
I
random.
did see this on Wayne's Instagram. It was just a random picture of a chicken. I was like, okay.
Just
In
that was one
Yorkshire, there's a
chicken,
lot
right?
of chickens here.
I know, but it was just in Tampa. I was
That one
like,
was literally crossing a road.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Did you? Yeah. I hope you asked it that question, Wayne.
And then that day we were pretty fortunate. There was a Magnum bottle share going on here at Hidden Spring, so we came back for that, and we were thinking maybe 2 or 3 different barrel-aged beers that we'd get to share with everyone. No,
There's like 12 or 14 of them.
these are like multiple-year barrel-aged Magnums that have been sat around for a special occasion. They're huge bottles, and just help yourself and try them. Most of them are 12% imperial stouts, but really, really cool. And we got to, drink loads of imperial stouts.
Are you bringing something back for us? No, I
what's
didn't
your
hear that.
customs like?
So is that, can we bring some back?
I said, are you bringing something back for us?
We will be bringing something back, don't you worry. We travelled light to ensure we had enough baggage space to bring stuff back.
Correct.
Oh my God!
Oh, did we get a round of applause?
Then yesterday we did a bit of a touristy thing, so we had an easy day. We weren't drinking much. We went on a walk around the Tampa downtown area, and we ended up drinking too much. So hit a few bars, including Lee's favourite of the trip, which was a random dive bar in the downtown area, which was pretty cool. Had some nice food there.
That was awesome. You know, the kind of place where it's got like a central U-shaped bar and you sit at the bar. Yeah, it was brilliant.
And then again, because we were taking it easy, we only went to, I think, 2 breweries that day, and then ended up at a meadery, which is very close to where we are now, and the mead was amazing. This is like random, well, mostly dark berry meads, but I had a peanut butter mead, which was really, really good. Sounds horrible, but it was really good.
Yeah, and I mean, the stuff's fantastic, but my God, is it expensive. They had a barrel-aged mead that was $20 for 100 mils.
Jesus.
We got 20%
Is it good?
Just a discount.
Now, we're from Yorkshire. Of course, we didn't pay that.
So it's been a bit of a whirlwind tour of lots of different breweries and venues so far. There's loads of events going on for Tampa Beer Week. So pretty much everywhere we go, there's either a tap takeover, a beer pairing, a tasting, or something going on. So loads of inspiration. Let's see lots of different things. One of our favourites was yesterday in one of the tap rooms. They have dedicated TV screens, so not to beer or anything like that. They have one which has Doctor Who showing permanently, one which has like 80s wrestling on permanently, one
Baywatch.
Baywatch on one of them, and what was the Bob, whatever his name is, the artist.
Yeah, you know, like 1970s artists, like the American equivalent, like Tony Hart.
Yeah.
Bob
Ross.
There we go. Yeah.
Take me down, please. Yeah.
There's no point putting the
that's
beers up
one.
on the screen when you can print them out and put them down and put proper entertainment on the screens.
Fantastic.
But yeah, it's been pretty interesting, and thankfully they all have air conditioning.
But anyway, that's probably as much as we need to update you on. I think it's more important that we hand back to the panel there because they've got some important content to go through. So.
Well, have we got any questions for Wayne and Lee before they disappear back into?
Before I go in the hunt for some Rennies, yes.
Oh no. So, what beers have Wayne and Lee taken across to America for the British tasting?
So obviously Tonka's illegal in America, so that kind of restricted our choice. We only brought 2 different versions of Tonka. The Empress, the Imperial. Nitro Imperial Tonka.
Juice Forsyth, Rum Sunday.
Hey You Giles, or no, HVG.
Yeah, the vegan version of Hey You Giles, except we can't call it Hey You Giles.
And Witherspoon. I think that's all the ones we've got. Oh, and Fruit Pie.
There we go.
So yeah, we've got about 5 different beers pouring, and then we've got some barrel-aged Empress to do a bit of a tasting with. So more than one can.
There you go, one more, guys.
Have any Americans mistaken you guys for an American brewery?
Not yet, but there's still time.
We have had multiple comments from random people in the street asking us if we're linebackers or making comments about our physical appearance.
Yeah, there was some drunk guy on the street who said, "God, you guys, you're part of the 250-pound club." Like, whatever that means.
So we'll duck off now and let you guys fire your questions to the panel. But thanks for having us and thanks for looking after the show while we're not there. We'll get Lee some Rennies and some support.
Yeah, awesome work so far, guys. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thanks. More claps.
They got their clap. They got their clap. Right. We're racing on this evening. Is anyone still drinking the juice? Because, you know, I'm wary of rushing anyone with that one because it's... Are we ready for the next one?
I didn't like that.
I mean, I hurried the juice.
Yeah, let's do a few questions.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Here's one.
What has been the most effective methods to get underrepresented people into the beers?
Sorry, say that.
What
again,
has
I didn't
been
catch it.
the most effective methods to get underrepresented people into the beers?
Ooh,
Directly
okay.
inviting them to join us.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really hard to see any other methods that you can kind of establish as direct impacts. Because so many things, I think the things that are most important are sadly long-term and things that you won't see a good amount of impact from for a good amount of time. But that's absolutely the first and foremost thing. Definitely.
Because when you think about beer, if you're not within the industry and you don't know how many females, non-binary, underrepresented people are there, you think of it as a sea of men.
Yeah.
And that can be really, really daunting.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you're actually invited to come for a social event or a festival or whatever it might be, it's way more accessible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Create a space where people feel like their presence is welcome and their voice is heard, because there's
Sure.
nothing worse than wanting to attend an event that is, about discussing beer and feeling like, oh, well, if I turn up, nobody's going to listen to me, because I'm sure a lot of women and a lot of kind of the marginalized groups within beer, individuals could probably draw on experiences where you've been told or insinuated that you don't know enough about the products.
Do you actually drink
I'm
that
sorry,
beer
do
that you make?
you drink that? Or
Yeah.
many of us have worked in pubs where we have brought up maybe an issue with a beer and been told, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And that happens on a regular basis. So, you don't at that point want to go into a space where people are kind of in a social space talking about beer and sharing ideas and doing things in a positive way if you don't feel like you're going to be listened to. So if you create these spaces where you're saying, these groups, we want you here. We want your voice. We want to hear from you. Then
Those groups are like a segue in.
Yeah.
So it's not like these sessions or these groups are the only place you can be.
God, no,
It's just
no.
an introduction in to say, look, you are welcome in this community.
Yeah.
And you can be part of it.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it's really important.
I feel like that's what, well, I hope that's what we achieved on Tuesday night with the beer social, which was we were allowing groups to come in and to talk about these situations. And then we were throwing the mic to them in some respects. We're saying, what do you want to talk about if we host these nights later in the year or maybe next month from there? And it gives their voice to be heard. And to be honest, that's really validating for me, and I'd probably say for everybody as well on the panel, and even for them as well. It's just kind of a nice feeling, I think, to get that ball rolling a little bit more from something I feel like that we've all experienced in the past, where we've been the minority in a group of beer drinkers, whether that is that we're all women or that we identify as women. It's something I think we have combated more than once. And it's nice to give that space where that's not entirely the main focus. It's, but it is the thing that brings us together.
It's a foot in the door in a place that will help you kind of develop your community and develop your confidence, because sometimes it can be very daunting, exactly like you said, Sam, like coming into a space where you don't know if you feel that welcome, or if you don't know that you feel like you're a minority. Being in a space where you can gain that confidence to talk about things and feel like you have a voice and you have a representation is really important in order to move out into the other spaces, because we need to occupy these spaces. It's the biggest part of being a minority in any industry, is to not shy away from it, to occupy those spaces and make your presence and your voice heard.
I was going to say, I felt like a clap just coming on there.
I think so. There's a lot of conversation as well around the fact that the beer social on Tuesday night was for women and non-binary people. Now there's a lot of chat around is it actually counterintuitive to make these spaces exclusive, excluding others. I think what we're trying to do is get to a point where we don't need to do that. But at the moment, we're not there, unfortunately. There are a lot of people that have had horrible experiences in pubs, in bars, in the beer industry, in all sorts of walks of life. And as we're trying to chip away at that, break it down, change
the mold,
things,
maybe.
We do need to be actively tackling it in such a way that is flipping it completely on its head. And this is another thing about representation. Like, representation is one of the most important things you can do to encourage people that don't look like the norm to join in a space where they might otherwise feel like they don't belong. And people feel uncomfortable with that as well, because they kind of say things like, but it's about the best person for the job, or it's, I don't want to, it feels forced, or like we want to live in a world where that isn't needed, obviously. But at the moment, we're not there. We have to be actively representing and being mindful of all of that. Otherwise, we're not going to change things quick enough.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we have to just keep doing it and plugging away.
And I don't, I don't mean to overlabor the point, but if
Are you just after another round of applause?
obviously, easy as that. No, if you are looking at spaces where women and non-binary people and marginalized groups are getting together, excluding the majority, and trying to find their own community and creating spaces that are for them, and you don't understand why, if you are part of the majority, you're not being included, then that's a shame, because maybe you need to go to the people in your life who are part of these groups and talk to them and listen to them, because people have reasons why they search out a community within a minority group, in any industry and within the entire world. So if you don't understand that, rather than attacking it, as some people do, they feel excluded as the majority and don't understand why we all can't be in it together. But you have to understand, this is the aim eventually, is to be all in it together. But you need to have a level of understanding about why people need those groups and why people need those smaller communities within it, with each other. So if it's something that you struggle to comprehend, then go and talk to people within your own life about these subjects. It's an important conversation to have, and you really might gain some insight into other people's perspective, and I think that could be really beneficial.
It's empathy, isn't it? And it's stepping
Yes.
into someone else's shoes, and you have to do that. Really, that's the best thing you can do to try and help other people feel welcome, is to just step into their shoes for a bit and see it from their perspective.
It's very similar to like the people that say, well, where's my straight pride? Why do you need a gay pride?
Yeah.
I don't have a straight pride.
Yes.
Well, you don't need one.
No.
That's
Every
okay.
day is straight
Yeah.
pride.
Yeah. Well, when is International Men's Day?
Every day. Every day.
The other 364 days.
Yeah, I was going to say there is one. There actually is one.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing. Like yeah.
It's a lack of it always comes from a lack of understanding, and that is not meant to sound patronizing. It is meant to give you an insight into how everybody can always do with better education themselves. On so many subjects. So do some research, do some listening, and you might gain a bit of different perspective.
I feel like what is quite nice, even no matter what category you may find yourself in, but a lot of things are being pulled out from under the rug, whether it is say, for example, like men's mental health, women's rights, trans rights, non-binary rights, anything like that. A lot of that is being pulled out for discussion, and to be honest, I know there's a lot of trials and tribulations within it, but overall, I do feel like it's going to be a positive outlook from it, because people are having discussions and going, okay, where have we gone wrong in the past? What can we do to provide a solution to make this right? And that's the overall thing that I'm quite optimistic about overall as a general community.
I genuinely think that it's one of the big things I always say is it's okay if you feel uncomfortable. Like, embrace it. No one enjoys feeling like that. It's horrible, and sometimes you feel embarrassed, and sometimes you just want to run away. But actually, it is how you ask the questions that matter, and it is how you learn to think differently, and that is how things will change. So if you feel uncomfortable sometimes, just roll with it.
Yes.
And ask some questions, and even if it feels silly, just ask.
Yes. Absolutely. Deal with that uncomfortability. Find out why you feel that way. It's so much more interesting to learn about ourselves, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, really support that.
On that note, before Ant claps again, the final beer of the evening, and we're on to this one.
Yes.
Tuck in if you haven't already.
I'm excited.
I'm already
This is
I'm
again
so far through this.
so nice.
not
Oh,
yet
God,
released.
Yeah. We've been good.
If you are one of our subscribers, you will have already had this, but no one else has. It's not on public release yet. Uh,
this beer.
This
Really
is
good.
a Milfoy Imperial Milk Stout.
Nice.
Thanks,
Ooh.
been practicing. 7.5%. It's brewed with Wildcard Brewery and with Patisserie Valerie. So we're very excited about this sort of double collaboration. We're hoping that it's the first of a few projects with Pat Val. That's like we're mates now. We can call them besties.
We've got nicknames.
It's due
Pet
to
names.
be launched officially in our tasting room. I believe Pete has been tasked with something of a proper launch of this, where there's talk of potentially for example, beer and cake pairing event.
Ooh.
Do you need 4 people to present that?
No.
I mean, you can test it. Make sure it's safe for the public.
And yeah, I just wanted to ask Nadia if I know Lee had put a few notes in about the actual recipe of this one. Did you
I'm
know?
sure he did
Were you
put in a few-
involved
I
in
mean,
the brewing of this one? Or?
I did do the brew day for this one,
Excellent.
so I have been super excited about this beer the whole way through. One, because I love Patisserie Valerie. I really like Wildcard. And this recipe has been based on the design of Patisserie Valley's classic pastry, the vanilla slice, which has been like one of my favorite things from them forever. When I first heard that we were going to be doing this collab, I went, it's a vanilla slice. It's a vanilla slice.
And they bought loads of
Yeah.
vanilla
And
slices
it
on the brew
absolutely
day.
was a vanilla slice. We had so much cake that day. But no, the recipe design was really, really interesting because, we're doing a stout. So there's always kind of the risk of like being too bitter by having kind of too much roastiness and stuff in this. And obviously what we're going for is cakey and sweet and vanilla-y and creamy. So obviously we've got all the lactose in there. But we managed to create a stouty stout without too much bitterness by adding so we've had like the low color roasty malts in there, and then adding cinema, which is like a kind of it's a color addition that doesn't give you excess bitterness. So it's a really lovely way of creating a beautiful black stout without the overly roasty, overly bitter notes. And I'm just so proud of this beer, honestly. Like, I think it's turned out absolutely beautifully. It's one of the things I've been tasting all the way through fermentation and kind of like getting that development all the way through. And I think it had a wonderful body. I think the vanilla really rounded everything out in a beautifully smooth, cakey kind of way. And if anybody's eaten one of the Patisserie Valley vanilla slices, they're just enormous. They're very difficult to eat in any kind of way that's holds any kind of dignity. But they're creamy and beautiful, and I think that this beer has created that experience in a really good way.
Was it worth chucking all the cake into the mash tun then?
That was a little bit sad, I'm not gonna lie. But
that looks fun.
There was still excess cake afterwards. So yes, it was definitely worth it. Yeah, really enjoyed that day.
What do you think to this then, Sam and Jess?
I think it's wicked.
Fan?
Yeah, it is. It's really drinkable. It's not overly sweet. It's just a cracking beer.
I can get a lot of the roasted flavors from that, but that's what I'm a big fan of, actually. And then the nose of it's really, really vanilla-y, I'd say. Big fan. And I say, but back in the day, I wasn't really a stout kind of person, but now, well, if this was what was going to turn me, then yeah, this would have turned me.
I also think the branding is really, really strong. The can really pops. I don't think we do much pink.
I have to say,
I know,
also,
yeah, surprisingly.
On the day of canning, I did manage to somehow get onto the speakers to be playing Ice Ice Baby
Nice.
5 times in a row.
Was that subliminal messaging?
I probably pissed off everybody on packaging to the nth degree, but I had a really fun time with it. So.
How did you get a small? Is it a smaller amount of lactose than we normally use? Because normally I feel it tastes quite buttery.
Yeah, I think
That's
we
something we
dialed
use.
that down to not be
'Cause that's really good.
not be overly heavy,
Mm.
but to still have the creaminess that you want,
Yeah.
because
Mm.
it's that body that you're really,
Yeah.
really looking for.
Excellent. Good.
When you think about the kind of cake that we're comparing it to, we really had to work to create that texture alongside it. So I think that worked really, really well.
Yeah, it's good.
Is everyone enjoying the Patisserie Valerie beer?
Yeah, definitely.
Have we got any going down to Jaeger? Do you
I
know?
hope so.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be. I'm
Yeah.
not
I
sure,
kind
but
of
yeah.
just assumed. I hadn't really
That
asked
was
the
gonna-
question,
yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
pretty
Do the
sure
thing.
that's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Get some
I
down to
remember
Walthamstow.
Lee was saying one of the first conversations was because they Wildcard don't really do stout, and they wanted us to kind
Yeah.
of show them how to do stout. And
That's
then
exactly the point of a collab, isn't
Yeah,
it? You learn
exactly.
from
Yeah.
each other, and yeah.
We
And
had a
then
fantastic conversation on the Brew and discussed through the recipe, and it was really, really nice to feel like, you know, between breweries we were sharing our expertise
Yeah.
and our
Mhm.
experiences, and yeah, we had an absolutely lovely day.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
I wish I was there for the cake, to be fair.
The cake
I
was
wasn't.
missed
Yeah.
out, mate. Cake was the highlight.
I wasn't in the
definitely.
office that day, so yeah, I feel like I missed out.
I
on no
came to the
cake.
brewery just for the promise of cake.
They brought so much cake. They, like, Patisserie Valley did not disappoint. They brought an intense amount of cake.
That's why
And
we've
Ah.
invited them
all-
back.
More cake.
yeah, it is why we're
Yeah.
hoping it's just the start of many more
Mhm.
cake exchanges.
Fantastic business decision, I think.
Yeah.
So while we're sipping along with this, it's quite hard to believe this one's actually a lower ABV than the Deuce
I
before
know.
it.
Yeah.
But
boozy.
yeah, we like to try and finish on a nice stout, and this is definitely the pudding. I wanted to talk just a little bit about our article, the website article. I don't know if you've all read it, but I would urge you to go and read it. It's basically 4 mini interviews with some of our team. And there's a couple of questions in there that I asked everyone that I just wanted to sort of chat through a bit more. Don't want to get too heavy. We've covered a lot of stuff tonight. But just while we sort of sip away on the last beer of the evening, I just wanted to share a couple of facts and stats that I've sort of picked up over the years of doing kind of women on tap work and talks and things. Here's a fun fact for you. So did you know that in the UK, only 17% of women drink beer at least once a week, which is apparently one of the lowest percentages in the world. And that compares to 53% of men, with male-oriented advertising cited as the main barrier. So off the back of that, one of the questions I asked was around the craft beer industry is known for its lack of diversity. And there are initiatives like Brave Noise and the work we do at Women on Tap to help change that. But I just wanted to kind of get a bit of a chat going with the panel now while we sip along about what are your own experiences as someone who doesn't fit the usual mold in beer. Has it been advantageous? Has it held you back? Have you kind of found a new resilience, or what have your own experiences been? Whoever wants to go first, basically.
I think I've had a mixed experience in beer. I mean, I have only been in production for sort of just coming on 2 years. And prior to that, I spent a lot of time in hospitality. And when I was working in hospitality, one of the things that I really, really prided myself on was that I could pick a beer for somebody. So if somebody would give me a couple of details about themselves, maybe a style that they liked, or maybe just, it didn't really matter what it was. As long as they spoke for a minute or so, I could be like, okay, of everything we've got, this is the beer for you. And I'd say 97% of the time I was right. And that was, I really enjoyed that. That was probably my favorite thing within hospitality, was kind of finding a skill like that. My employers did not recognize this. I would bring up when I thought something was off, or if I thought a beer was not being well taken care of, or something didn't quite taste right. And I was told categorically that I was wrong because I didn't know what I was saying. And, you know, it was never explicitly said, but I'm going to be honest, like, believe me, it did not need to be said. He listened to men. He didn't listen to women. It was very disappointing. And I found that a lot. You know, you would have men come into a bar and ask for a drink, and you would recommend them something, and they're like, yeah, but what what does he think? And ask you to go and get a male in the business to come and chat to them instead, because they absolutely did not believe that women knew anything about beer. And it was kind of mind-boggling to me. It took me a long time to get my head around the fact that this was really a reality. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily believe women within the industry that we have these experiences. All of us have had it. We've all had doubting your abilities, doubting your expertise, sexist comments, sexual harassment. We've all had it to some degree. And yet, a lot of the time in the modern era, we're regularly told that it's not an issue anymore. So it's this kind of strange disparity between our own personal experiences and what other people are telling us.
Yeah,
we're
almost gaslighting you.
experiencing. We're being gaslighted by society, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think beer is a strange experience. The drinks industry within itself has a lot of work to do. And then beer specifically being this whole kind of male market. I mean, you know, you can watch beer adverts from 10 years ago, which realistically is not that long ago.
Don't recommend it.
And they're horrifying towards women. They really are. And like
But
10 years is not that long of a time.
You don't even have to go 10 years back to find horrific sexism in advertising.
I know.
In bottle artwork, in keg cask badges, it's still there, and it's awful.
And within all of this, you know, even if you would say, oh, well, you know, maybe that doesn't happen now, some things that have got better haven't really changed the experience that most of us within the industry now have experienced our entire working lives. So, you know, if you're saying, oh, well, you know, that advert that happened 8 years ago isn't on nowadays, fine. But appreciate the fact that a good proportion of women who are in the industry today have grown up through their lives, through their career, with this stuff thrown at them. And it takes a very long time to unlearn, and it takes a long time to be able to push through it, and not feel like this stuff is constantly thrown in your face. So we're making progress. It's baby steps and it's gradual. It is happening, but don't discount how much impact the very, very recent past has had.
From a male perspective, as a drinker for a lot of years, I've come to acknowledge that people behind the bar, or the people like yourselves, they actually know a lot more about beer in some ways than what we do, because they're doing it every day. But if you're only going out once or twice a week, there's people there every night, and they're serving hundreds of people, so they do get a good knowledge of it. And I've come to appreciate that somebody who knows something about beer behind the bar is better for us than not somebody just there to pull the pints.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's and that's fantastic.
That is developing.
Yes.
You know.
And to recognize that is a wonderful thing. Your bartenders are there to provide you information, to help you in your experience of the evening, and that should entail being able to help you understand, you know, the beers that are on offer, and that's a big part of it. So recognizing that is a fantastic thing, and I think more people should do that.
Carpets to people, because that's my job.
Yep.
And I've got to give them the advice, and I've they expect that the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
when it's
expect the
given to you-
respect.
When it's given to you nowadays in a professional manner, and there's more knowledge about it, it's more appreciated.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely agree with that, but like there has been incidences, I'd say probably a little bit further in the past than now, when you're like behind the bar serving, and then they say, like, you say, oh, okay, I recommend this, and they'll be like, oh, has your boss told you that? And you're a bit like, no, I'm telling you that rather than that. But then you're like, then I came away after that experience kind of going, is it gender based? Is it not? Oh, is Rachel gone for a wee? Oh, toilet break. Yeah.
Has she taken a migraine?
Oh.
So, okay, I don't know if you guys have ever had this, but it was something that I found very uncomfortable in hospitality. Is I felt like sometimes I would recommend something,
Mhm.
and somebody would say something to me like, "I'll take that recommendation because you're pretty,"
Yeah.
and that has always been a very difficult thing to navigate, I think, because you don't want to insult a customer, you don't want to put somebody off, and you want to kind of thank them for taking a recommendation.
But
or
you
that
also
kind of thing.
want
But
to let them know
it's
that
like,
that's not okay.
That's, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't say that for a visual compliment, and I would prefer to be appreciated for my actual knowledge
yeah.
that I do have, not because you like how I look.
Mm.
And that's always been a very uncomfortable thing in hospitality, which, to be honest, is now within production something I don't have to deal with, and I am so happy about that.
I
That's
feel
a
like
very nice change.
I feel like from when I was in hospitality to then going into a bit more in depth of the brewing industry, when I joined the brewing industry, there was a big jump on that. Like a lot of people, I felt, especially in the Brew York team, were like, I didn't feel anything to do, like any boundaries to do with my gender or anything like that, because of how diverse the team was in general. But also it was just the team that was there that were very accepting. They were very open to what I had to say rather than what I looked like, maybe like whatever my sexual orientation was or anything like that. It was just more, I knew that they were keen to what I was wanting to say, and that I think that's quite an integral thing.
Yeah.
Of why I'm probably still here today, from
Yeah.
what I also stand for as a person.
I mean,
I think we all agree with each other, don't we?
Yeah.
From a personal point of view, I'm quite lucky because I've never worked directly in hospitality. A lot of what I do is by email or text or digital media. My biggest gripe is that my name's Sam, so people assume I'm a dude all the time. And until I get to know them, but I've
Well, you
put
work in beer, so
I've put my pronouns in my email signature.
yeah, great.
But it's a tiny gripe, and compared to what other people go through, it's so insignificant. But it's just the point that it's assumed
Mhm. Yeah.
that gets to me.
And don't underestimate that,
Yeah.
because if it happens once or twice, it's like not such
I
a big
laughed it
deal.
off.
But if it's absolutely consistent, that the majority of people that you interact with assume that you're a man, there's something behind that, and you know that there is.
I just sign off my reply. Kind regards, Mrs.
Yeah, and that should be drawn to light, because it may not feel like a big deal on a one-off occasion, but if it's really consistently put to you, I don't think everybody would necessarily consider actually how that feels.
Yeah.
Because it does feel shit.
But
It does.
of the people that I've corrected, I've never had anybody not apologise to me.
Good.
And then we just move on.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
That's also a step in the right direction, I feel,
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, you making it, because to be honest, you wouldn't have to make people aware.
Yeah.
You could just carry on with it if you didn't feel like dealing with the hassle. But making
But
people
I
aware.
want people to know who
well,
they're talking to.
Yes.
Because part of my job is forming a relationship.
Yeah. And I think it will make people reconsider. And then the next time they get an email from somebody with a gender neutral name, they
won't
will
assume.
go,
Yeah.
oh, actually, am I assuming the wrong thing
Yeah.
here? And you doing that and instigating that kind of conversation will create positive change for the next people involved in the same sort of conversation. So again, this comes back to the point of speaking out, talking about things and addressing people as and when you can, when you feel comfortable, when it feels like a safe space to do that. Have these conversations with as many people as possible.
I've got a couple of questions. One of them, I don't think that I have any idea how to answer. One of them is, how has Brew York ever done or intend to collaborate with Daya Brewery?
Daya. I'm only kidding.
Yeah, no.
Tom, if you're watching, I love you.
Mr. Tom.
I have no idea.
I mean, I'd say if it's the
Liam
options
Wayne are
are.
no longer on camera, right? Like you'd have to ask them for all the spoilers on
Yeah.
that kind of front, because
I don't think, as far as I know,
genuinely don't know.
there's nothing in the diary, but whether it's something that is kind of
Not something I've been made aware of.
I think it'd be cool to do.
Yeah, it's
It
like
would
a
be
never,
cool. It
never
would be
say
very,
never.
very cool.
Yeah.
But
Would you do like a real crazy stout or something?
Oh, I don't know.
it would be insane. We know that it would be completely mad, but we'd have to ask the master of spoilers for that one.
Are they? They don't do any like IPAs.
Oh, yeah.
They're big
Dreamy
on
stout
everything
part.
weird.
Yeah.
And we're big on
Yeah.
everything weird.
That's the
so
name,
it would
Dreamy
be
Stout.
dreamy
A
stout.
wonderful collaboration, really.
There's another question here. Is there a word for a beer sommelier? I think it's a beer sommelier.
Oh, is that two
No,
words?
it's a
There
cicerone.
is cicerone.
It's a cicerone. Yeah, sommelier is for wine, cicerone is for beer. And there are, I think, only a handful of courses around the world to become a beer cicerone, but they are there.
Yeah.
It's not anywhere near as many as wine, but there absolutely are courses to become a beer cicerone. So go out there, cicerone away.
Pete, at this point, are there any more questions
that
on the
applies
chat for
to
us?
every single thing in the world. Don't be James Watt. That's rule for life.
Here's a question. Let's put this one to Sam because it's sales related.
Oh,
Is there a balance to be struck between what you might like to brew and what sells?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Next.
Next question.
Just making sure Nadia takes her microphone off
Yeah.
before she has a little
Drop kids off.
Don't want to do a winning like that.
But yeah, there's a huge split between what we'd like to brew and what actually sells, and also what's affordable to brew. Ingredients are so expensive. If we brewed the beers that we wanted to brew without thinking of the cost, i.e., if Lee brewed them without weighing there,
We do.
we'd have some
Yeah.
incredibly exciting
Voice from the back
beers.
of the room. We know.
Yeah. Yeah, lights won't be on right now.
Yeah, we would not be a business because we wouldn't be able to sell any of it.
That's why they're a good team.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they bounce
Keep
off each
each
other
other
well.
in check.
They're the yin and yang.
Although sometimes we do break down the ingredient cost and Wayne goes red in the face.
Then we never do that again.
Yeah.
What do you mean this is going to be £9 a can? But yeah, there's a huge split, and we do try to brew as much of the stuff that we want to brew as we can. But we also need to be realistic about the market. But we try to make all that as exciting and as fresh as we can. Yeah.
Next question.
But sometimes people do just want a 4% cask, you know.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Chat point for the panel. The craft beer scene is probably a lot better for inclusion than the macro scene. How can we open up the bigger breweries to the same level of inclusion?
Well, I think all they really care about is making money.
Stuff. Pace up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just being inclusive. and
Saying that,
forcing to do
I've seen quite a few different people pop up this year for International Women's Day and Brew Days, more macro names.
Have you?
And I feel like almost like the smaller craft industry is teaching them a thing or two.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it is now what, I guess if we are, we're making it that's what consumers demand, that's what society demands, then people are going, oh, well, we should probably also listen to this.
Yeah.
So maybe it is.
But are they
leading the way
doing
a little
it for
bit.
the right reasons?
Perhaps not.
Is the question.
It's what, you need to ask them that, I'd say.
All I've seen is like social media stuff, so you just don't know what's actually going on behind that. But
we'd like to think that they are doing it for the right reasons, but I'd say at this point we probably don't know.
I feel like perhaps macro breweries are definitely behind where we're at on our scale and with our sort of adaptability and that kind of thing. But
yeah, I think sometimes they might be very into like the forefront in terms of like advertising and stuff like that, but they have very big HR teams and they have very big kind of
marketing budget,
£1 million marketing budgets
with tons of research to tell them what's the right direction to go, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the culture's there.
Yeah.
So it's a different within this entire industry, and any industry, I think it's a very, very difficult thing to balance when looking into a company in terms of kind of how well they're doing in champion diversity and things like this. Is what are they saying and what are they doing?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very, very hard to see the full picture of both. It can be easy to say a lot and not do very much. So,
although speaking that you were the fact on HR, I just do want to shout out Alison, who is our HR manager.
And hopefully is watching.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, I'll waste it and clap.
Yeah, she'll teams me later going, why did you mention me? But no, like she is a great one-woman team, and she's absolutely amazing, and like keeping everything absolutely in check and everybody feeling safe and included as well, which I think is important to mention with International Women's Day that's just passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, love you, Alison.
Her office is an absolutely wonderful safe space.
Yeah,
it is.
Definitely would say.
And Bertie as well, her dog.
That is important to say. There are not just us four at Brew York.
Yeah, there's more.
No, we have
There's lots of other people there.
Yeah,
we have so many women in this company across all different sexes, and it'd be wonderful to be able to feature everybody at some point. And
definitely. Well, I mean, I'm not even saving it for next International Women's Day because we need to not do that. So let's just keep doing it from
it's
here.
Not a one day a year thing.
Yeah.
You know, we don't all just kind of come in for that day or that week.
And then crawl back away
We're all
again.
here all the time.
see you next year, not.
Yay!
She's here.
Ah. I've got a question. Omnipollo managed to have their bottles sell at £14.
Yep.
Do our beers sell better abroad or command higher prices?
Sam.
So when selling abroad, you've got import taxes. So when we import, not we, but when someone in the UK imports Omnipollo, you've got to factor in transport, import costs. There's a whole plethora of reasons why these beers are the price that they are. But you will find that imported beers are more expensive. So likewise, when we export our beers, they will be more expensive than locally brewed beers. That they're not more popular than they are here, but we're getting there. We're putting out a lot more beer into the export markets than we used to, and I'm working really hard to make it happen. So we landed a contract. We landed a contract in February for Reese's with a Spoon. So we landed that after Hershey's told us that they weren't very happy with us. So these guys had to really quickly rebrand the beer, really artistically to ... with a spoon.
Word still.
Yeah.
And These guys then had to brew 34,000 cans within 6 weeks to get it to Sweden and out into the market. So there's currently 34,000 cans in circulation, and it's going really well. So we're watching the ratings come through on Untapped, and it's 4, 4.5, 5, 4, 4.5, 5. So it's landed really, really well. And then we've got Juice Forsyth. So not Deuce Forsyth, Juice Forsyth, going in the summer as well into Sweden. So there's some really massive opportunities there. But yeah, lots more beer going into international markets.
Incredible
It's
work.
being very international. It's been really cool.
Yeah.
It's meant that we've been able to do collabs with international groups, and I'm sure you'll see a lot more of this at our birthday bash.
Yeah.
If anybody's coming,
Yeah.
it's going to be extremely international, and these kind of opportunities has what's made that possible. So that's a very exciting endeavor.
That sounds awesome. When's it happening?
On the 21st and 22nd of April.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Buy your tickets
Friday,
now.
Saturday.
Tell me more about it.
Tickets available.
We have
Tickets
events
are
running on
available.
Friday evening, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday evening. So get your tickets now because they have been selling out. Last year's. Ooh, yes, we should have some dates up. Last year's Saturday afternoon sold out very, very quickly. So I would say if that's the session that you're interested in, do try and get that quite quickly.
Type it quicker. Type it fast.
We've got loads of ideas.
No.
That's the takeaway from this evening.
I feel like I'm on QVC.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to start wrapping up because I want to prove to Liam Wayne that we're better at timekeeping than them. It's not
I was
difficult.
gonna say.
So our next YouTube, it's going to be the 14th of April, Ant. Thanks for asking. It's quite late next month, but there's a lot of Easter bank holidays, weekends and things early April. So we are pushing it back. There's lots of very detailed notes here about what might be in the next beer club boxes, but yeah, I just don't want to give away all that.
No.
So
yeah.
Keep it safe.
I'm just going to say that
It's good.
some of our
I'm reading it here.
No,
It's
well,
good.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's even more
Yeah.
vague. I'm enjoying that vibe.
Yeah. We can read it.
I think that I'll just say that there are some new beers coming out that are to do with our birthday party.
Gonna love this.
International brewery
They're gonna
collaborations.
be great.
So we have a beer with Black Brut from Germany, a NEPA. We've got a collab with Hidden Springs, which is a pastry sour, and we've got a classic Brew Yorkie. I'll tell you that one. You can have that one for free. Not the beer, just the information. And the next birthday beer is the Lervig Stout. But I'm not telling you any more than that at this point because I think it's nice to have a surprise. I don't want to give too much. Just a little bit, just events-wise, we've got, if you're local, we've got some great movie nights coming up here in our Hoptail Lounge, which has been newly painted. It's beautiful, it's clean, it smells of paint, but I'm sure that'll die down. We've got Layer Cake, The Gentleman, and The Breakfast Club, the next 3 film nights coming up. Have a look on the website if you want to know more about the dates and details of that. And then, I don't know if we mentioned, but the 21st and 22nd of April, we've got a birthday party happening out at our main brewery.
How
at
old are we
Hamley
going to
Park.
be?
We're
How
gonna,
old?
thanks for asking, Jess.
Yeah.
7.
7.
And it's going to be one hell of a party. And
Yeah,
it's
it is.
a very rare opportunity for the public to just come in and explore not just Handley Tap, because that's open every weekend, but the whole brewery, the site, and get to know the team and learn more about Brew York, generally what we do day to day. And we've got, as I've mentioned, 5 international breweries coming over, bringing their beers, as well as the new birthday beers pouring. It's going to be amazing.
Not local breweries.
Not local.
Oh,
We are a
wow.
local brewery.
I guess you can kind of say
International breweries, Anne.
local to some
International.
respects.
From all over the place.
Shut the front door.
I know.
There's also
I know.
rumours, not only that, there's also rumours of some birthday beer tasting events happening,
Come on.
possibly in this very room.
We'll clap that.
And
Yeah.
and I can't. This will become clear in the next few weeks. But there's rumours of a Eurovision watch party happening in this very building. So I mean,
Oh my god.
if you've enjoyed
Dressing
tonight's
as ABBA.
session, please
Lordy.
let us know. Please send any feedback to info@brewyork.co.uk. Ant's getting very giddy now, so we're going to have to close up.
Yeah.
If you want to be in a future audience, please do come along. You're more than welcome.
Just seen Lee's comment.
What was it? What did Lee say?
He said we're all brilliant, so that's
Does this mean we can have it permanently?
Yeah.
great. Listen,
Coming for your job, Lee.
it's 5 to 9. I've got some closing words. I know.
That's early. God, who's Lee?
Take notes, Liam Wayne.
Yeah, timekeeping.
You're welcome to just continue sipping your beers for as long as you want. I just want to say a huge thank you to Jess, Sam, Nadia, tonight's panel. It's been amazing. We've had some really important conversations. Thank you to Ant and Pete behind the scenes. I know Ant keeps himself to himself pretty much, so no one hardly knows he's here.
I mean, tonight.
Pete's making all the tech buttons work. He's like the David Guetta of the Brew York live stream. And you can have that for free.
Pete Getter.
Everyone that's made the effort to come here tonight, thankfully the snow's gone. I mean, I hope it hasn't come back while we've been here.
We'll
has
find
gone.
out.
And thank you so much for everyone that's tuned in online, because we love having you, and hopefully you've enjoyed some of the chats we've been having tonight and have taken something useful away. Also, I really want to thank Wayne and Lee for being allies and supporting the team to do all the stuff we've done this week, and for giving us the platform tonight, because it is really important that people do this. And hopefully we'll do it more. And based on Lee's comment, like, he's got to let us do it more now, right? Because he said that. Everyone saw that.
Yeah.
So
It's so much better. Trust me.
Ant's having a great time. That's all that matters.
Ant's not been ripping out his hair. So that's a plus.
And I just want to say, like what I said before, we can't just put all of this stuff into International Women's Day, International Women's Week, Women's History Month. We need to be doing it all the time. And the best thing you can do is just be allies and be cool and call people out and support your mates and talk about it and feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. And thank you, and I hope you've loved the beers, because we have. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much.